Hello. What's up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka ReviewKingMB, and I am here because I finally saw The Mummy. Yes! No, I'm not talking about The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser Mummy from 1999 that I know people, at least in my age bracket, my generation, grew up on. And I'm not even talking about the old Mummy series from like, what, the 30s or whatever. No, I'm talking about the brand new Mummy, 2017, that is directed by Alex Kurtzman. And the plot is we meet Tom Cruise. Yes, that Tom Cruise, who plays Ethan Hunt. Okay, I know, I'm sure you've heard other people make this joke already with this movie and their reviews, because Tom Cruise is basically playing every action hero, every action character that he's played in all of his other movies. But this character is named Nick Morton. He's a U.S. military officer who's basically on assignment, and they're all trying to get this tomb of this mummy and trying to study it and research it until this plane crash happens. You see it in the trailer, and it seems like Tom Cruise died, but he didn't die. And he's now involved with seeing that this new mummy, played by Sofia Boutella, he's trying to figure out what she's doing here on Earth and how can he stop her. Now, what I thought of the brand new Mummy is... honestly, I didn't hate this movie. I don't think this is the worst movie of 2017, and hell, when it's all said and done, I'm not sure if it's even going to make my top 10 worst movies of the year. I'm just going to say that I was pretty disappointed by the movie, and disappointed in the way of going in, I've seen some of the negative reviews. I kind of already knew that people were saying that this movie wasn't that great, but I still thought there's hope. There's a chance. There's been plenty of movies that critics have hated or that people have hated, and I've been the one person that said, you know what, that wasn't bad. I will say this, Tom Cruise is, again, being Tom Cruise. So if you like him in these action roles, in these brave roles where he's doing what he does best, it's like, okay, sure, he does his action, he's doing a lot of his own stunts, and all of that is impressive. I just didn't really get much out of the Nick character. He just seemed like a typical guy that there was nothing really special about him. You had him in this sort of relationship with this girl, Jenny, played by Annabelle Wallis, and she's an actress who I thought looked familiar, and then I looked her up and realized she was in X-Men First Class, she was in Snow White and the Huntsman, she was in Annabelle, the horror movie, that was terrible, but she's an actress that's been around for a little while, and she was fine. She was fine in the movie. Again, nothing special about her character and her and Tom Cruise's bickering relationship. It's like, okay, this is pretty standard for what we're going for. But let me talk about Jake Johnson, who is a comedic actor that you probably would recognize and seen a bunch of things, and I think he's funny. I do. He plays his character Chris, who is Tom Cruise's best friend. And man, do they waste this fucking guy in this movie. He does not only next to nothing, but then what they do with him after a certain point in the movie, it's like, this is just weird. And that's a big problem with the movie, I think, is the tone. This movie doesn't know what tone it wants to have. There are some points where they want to be super serious and they want you to take all of this stuff seriously. And then there's some points where it's just goofy. And I know, yeah, the Brendan Fraser Mummy, for example, they had funny moments or they wanted to have fun. It was a 90s movie. They had some cheese factor to them. But this is just like, it felt like somebody else came in and said, we need more jokes in this movie. So they just shot all of these weird, awkward scenes that don't feel organic and just feel like forced, funny material that isn't really that funny. So it just comes off as awkward. A lot of moments like that. Sophia Boutella as the Mummy, I think, again, was fine, but I kind of think a role like this is beneath her at this point. If she had taken this role a couple years ago, back when I first saw her pop up in a movie like The Kingsman, Secret Service, and I didn't really know if she was a good actress or really heard her speak, but once she does a movie like Star Trek Beyond, and you see how great she was as that character in that movie, you see her here, and she's back to not really talking. Like, here and there, little tiny moments of talking, but she's just the imposing mummy figure. Sure, it might have been interesting to have a female as the mummy this time around, and she's seducing Tom Cruise and giving him all these visions and stuff, but ultimately, it just doesn't really play out to be all that interesting. Another character, Dr. Henry Jekyll, yes, Dr. Jekyll, played by Russell Crowe, who, great casting. Russell Crowe, great actor. You just can't help but get behind an actor like that being cast as a character like that. Again, this is Universal. They are trying to get their monster universe started. They're trying to kick this off with this movie and then go on to Wolfman and Invisible Man and all this stuff that they want to do. And so you get why Russell Crowe is here, but they don't do a good job really explaining his character. I know a lot of people know Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You know that character. You know what goes into it. But this movie needed to set up what he's doing here exactly. He just shows up with his own almost government official-like group, but it's all very muddled. It's all just thrown together just to be like, hey guys, isn't this cool? And it's not set up properly, so you don't really care about anything as it's going on. There is a couple of scenes of action. The plane crash scene near the beginning is probably the best bits of action that I like the most. There is a lot of CGI in here though, and it's kind of whatever. They try to put in some horror scenes in there, but it never really worked, because any horror scene, it was like a scene with a couple security guards who just get killed off, and it's like, well, I didn't know them, I didn't care about them. I wanted some real horror elements in it. The old Mummy movies had some horror stuff and then good action. This movie was just retreading those same grounds. And then the ending. I'm not going to spoil this ending just in case anyone really cares about it. But I didn't want to, like, when you see how this ends, you just kind of go like, okay, not only was that lame, not only was it dumb, but you're so clearly trying to make it interesting to go for a sequel or go to another part of this world and universe, and I just don't care. I did not care. I'm gonna give it some old bullshit.
Man, this some old bullshit.
I don't hate it. I'm not ranting and raving. This isn't a fuck you, but I wouldn't even say rent it either. It's really a movie that you could skip and not even be bothered with. And that's unfortunate, because I do like Tom Cruise, just not so much in this movie. So guys, let me know in the comments below if you have seen the latest Mummy, if you liked it, if you loved it, or if you didn't care for it, or if you just don't care about this movie at all. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later!